Grandma asked why I was renting when she'd given me a house. Then the truth hit us. All my brother had stolen the property, and my parents helped cover it up. So I took legal action and reclaimed what was mine. I pulled into my parents' driveway at 11:47 p.m., late, exhausted, still in my work shirt. The house was lit up like a showroom. Through the front windows, I could see at least 30 people, wine glasses, laughter, the kind of party my parents threw when they wanted to impress someone. I sat in my car for a moment. Engine off, headlights dark, 63 hours this week. Project deadlines. Client calls at 9 p.m. My studio apartment rent was due in 2 days and my account balance was $327, but Grandma had called me last week, said it was important that I show up tonight. Her voice had been different. Seriously, she'd been overseas for 5 years running her consulting work and I hadn't seen her in person since 2021. For her, I'd come. I walked up the brick path, opened the door without knocking. The heat hit me first, then the noise. My mother spotted me immediately from across the living room. Her smile was bright, performative. "Jake, you made it." A few guests turned, polite nods, then back to their conversations. I wasn't the son they were here to celebrate. That honor belonged to Marcus. My older brother stood near the fireplace, remote control in hand, cycling through photos on the massive TV mounted above the mantel. Beach views, sunset cocktails, a house that looked like it belonged in Architectural Digest. "This is from last week," Marcus was saying to a circle of admirers. His wife Emily stood beside him, hand on his shoulder. "We've been spending more time at the Malibu place. The sunsets are unreal." Several people made appreciative sounds. My father raised his wine glass. "A toast to both our sons. Marcus with his business success and Jake with his..." He paused, searching. "Dedication." Dedication? Code for still renting at 29. I grabbed a glass of water from the kitchen. Didn't trust myself with alcohol tonight. 11:50 p.m., 10 minutes to midnight. The doorbell rang. My mother frowned. Who could that be? Everyone's already here. My father moved toward the door, opened it, and there she was. Grandma Dorothy, 74 years old, silver hair pulled back tight, long black coat, small rolling suitcase at her side. She looked older than I remembered, thinner, but her eyes were the same, sharp, calculating. "Mom." My father's voice was carefully neutral. "We didn't know you were coming. I didn't ask permission." She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. The room went quieter. Not silent, but conversations dropped in volume. People sensing something. Grandma scanned the faces. Found mine. A brief nod, almost imperceptible. Then she looked at Marcus. Before midnight, she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "I have one question." The room fell completely silent now. Marcus set down his remote, smiled. "Of course, Grandma. What is it?" She didn't smile back. "Jake." Her eyes locked on mine. "Why did you sell the $1.2 million Malibu beach house I bought you?" My wine glass was halfway to my mouth. I froze. "What house?" The room stayed silent, but the quality of silence changed from respectful to shocked. "Grandma," I said, slowly setting the glass down, "I don't own a house." "You do?" Her voice was cold. "Factual. I purchased it in September 2021. 2847 Pacific Coast Highway, Malibu. $1.2 million. Your name on the deed." I shook my head. "I live in a studio apartment in Culver City. Rent is $1,850 a month. I don't own anything." "Then explain this." She reached into her purse, pulled out a printed photograph, handed it to the woman standing nearest to her, who passed it down the line until it reached me. I looked at the photo. Marcus and Emily on a wooden deck. Ocean in the background, sunset light. The exact house that had been on the TV moments ago. Instagram screenshot. Date visible in the corner. December 3rd, 4 weeks ago. Caption, "New Year's prep at our Malibu retreat." I looked up. Everyone in the room was staring at me. Then slowly they turned to look at Marcus. His face had gone pale, jaw clenched. Emily grabbed his arm. Her knuckles were white. "Marcus," I said quietly, "what is this?" He recovered quickly, forced to laugh. "Grandma, that house belongs to a friend of ours. We just stayed there for a weekend." "A friend?" Grandma's tone was flat. "Yes." "Then why?" She reached into her purse again. "Are the utility bills in your name, Pacific Gas and Electric Southern California Edison, both registered to Marcus Thompson at 2847 PCH? She handed the bills to my father, who was standing closest. He didn't look at them, just held them like they were evidence at a crime scene. Marcus's smile faltered. Okay, look, this is a misunderstanding. Jake gave me permission to use the house. He didn't want it. I stood up. Chair scraped against the hardwood floor. I never gave you anything. My voice was louder than I intended. I didn't even know the house existed until 2 minutes ago. Jake, when did I give you permission, Marcus? What date? What conversation? He opened his mouth, closed it. My father stepped forward. Mom, I think you're confused. You bought that house for the family, not specifically for Jake. Is that so? Grandma turned to him. Not a question, a statement. My mother joined in, her voice soft, placating. Jake was going through a difficult time back then. He wasn't stable enough to own property. I turned sharply to face her. Wasn't stable? What are you talking about, sweetheart? You had issues. She looked at the guests, embarrassed. We made decisions in your best interest. What issues? My hands were trembling now. Name one. Silence. My father and mother exchanged a glance. Some silent communication. We can discuss this privately, my father said. No! Grandma's voice cut through the room like a blade. We discuss it now. She checked her watch. 11:56 p.m. He should be here by now. Who? Marcus asked. The doorbell rang again. My father didn't move, too stunned. I walked to the door, opened it. A man in his 60s stood on the porch, gray suit snowflakes melting on his shoulders, black briefcase in hand. Mrs. Hanson, he said, looking past me into the house. Apologies for the delay. Traffic on the 405. Mr. Peterson, please come in. The man entered. He had the demeanor of someone who'd done this before. Calm, professional, and attorney. Marcus stood abruptly. I need to use the bathroom. Sit down, Marcus. Grandma's voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Authority. Marcus sat. Everyone in the room was frozen now. Guests pressed against the walls holding wine glasses they'd forgotten to drink. Attorney Peterson set his briefcase on the dining table, opened it, pulled out a manila folder thick with documents. Let's start with the basics. He spread papers across the table. This is the property deed for 2847 Pacific Coast Highway, Malibu, California. Purchased September 14, 2021. Purchase price $1.2 million. Owner of record Jacob Michael Harrison. He pointed to my name on the document. That's, Jake Peterson continued. Not Marcus, not the family. Jake. I stepped closer, looked at the deed. My name was there in legal print. I'd never seen this document before in my life. Peterson pulled out another sheet. This is a transfer of deed, dated March 22, 2022. It claims Jake Harrison gifted the property to Marcus Thompson. He slid it toward me. There was a signature at the bottom. Jake Harrison in flowing script. I picked up the paper, stared at the signature. That's not my handwriting, I said. Correct. Peterson opened another folder. We conducted forensic analysis of this signature, compared it to known samples of both your handwriting and Marcus's. Results show a 91% probability match to Marcus Thompson's handwriting, not yours. The room erupted, guests whispering, my mother gasping, Emily saying, "Oh my God," under her breath. Marcus stood again. This is insane. You're accusing me of fraud, Peterson said calmly. Yes. My father stepped forward, trying to regain control. This is absurd. Mom, why are you doing this at a family party? Grandma looked at him with something close to pity. Because you lied to me, George, for years. She turned to Peterson. Show them the rest. Peterson pulled out a stack of papers. Hospital letterhead visible on top. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, George and Sandra, you told Mrs. Hanson that Jake was hospitalized for mental health issues in 2022. You claimed this was the reason he couldn't manage property. Is that correct? My father hesitated. Yes, he was unstable. Show me the medical records, Peterson said. They're private. We subpoenaed them 3 weeks ago. Peterson laid out the records. There is no psychiatric hospitalization for Jake Harrison in 2022 or any year. The only medical visit on record is March 17, 2022. Diagnosis, influenza, 2-day clinic stay. My mother's face went white. I felt like the floor was tilting. They'd lied to Grandma to justify stealing from me. Peterson wasn't finished. Jake, in 2021 and 2022, you interviewed at several major companies. Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, Deloitte. Is that correct? I nodded. Yes. I made it to final rounds at all 3, but they all rejected me. No explanation. We know why. He pulled out printed emails, handed them to me. I read the first one. to hrgoldmansachs.com from concerned party 2847 gmail.com. Subject: Jake Harrison candidate concerns. We feel obligated to inform you that Jake Harrison has a history of substance abuse and legal liability. He is currently under psychiatric care and poses a significant risk to workplace stability. We recommend resending his offer. My hands started shaking, paper rattling. IP address traces back to this house. Peterson said, sent from your parents' router. November 2021. I looked up at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. You... My voice cracked. I cleared my throat. You sabotaged my career. No answer. I flipped to the next email. Same content, different company. Microsoft, then demote. 3 jobs, 3 emails, all from this house. I put the papers down slowly, carefully looked at my parents at Marcus. You didn't just steal a house. I stood up, chair scraped again. Chair. You destroyed my career, my credit, my future. My voice was getting louder. I couldn't stop it. While I worked 60-hour weeks just to afford rent. Marcus stepped forward. Jake, let me explain. No. One word final. Grandma stood, tapped her cane on the hardwood floor once. Sharp sound. That's enough pretending, Jake. I looked at her confused. She smiled. Small cold. I contacted Jake 10 days ago, she said to the room. I told him everything about the house, the lies, all of it. Marcus's face went slack. What I felt understanding. Dawn slow then all at once. The phone call. Grandma asking me to come tonight to be here to act surprised. This was a trap. I looked at Marcus, smiled. It felt foreign on my face. I've been waiting, I said quietly, for you to lie. We gave you every chance to confess. Grandma continued. You could have told the truth, admitted what you did, asked for forgiveness. She looked at each of them. My parents, Marcus, Emily, you chose fraud instead. Peterson pulled out another document, larger spreadsheet format. Marcus Thompson operated the Malibu property as a short-term rental via Airbnb. 39 months of operation, average monthly income, $17,300. He pointed to the total at the bottom. $674,700 in gross profit. The number hung in the air. Marcus tried to speak. I was maintaining the property. That money went to upkeep, while your brother ate ramen 4 nights a week. Grandma's voice was ice. She stepped closer to Marcus, looked up at him. You're a thief, Marcus. A common thief. The clock on the wall showed 11:59 p.m. The TV behind Marcus switched to the New Year's countdown, Times Square ball dropping. Han 9-8. Peterson closed his briefcase, looked at Marcus. Mr. Thompson, you have 5 minutes before I file criminal charges with the Los Angeles County District Attorney. Identity theft, fraud, forgery. Marcus's voice was desperate. You can't. 7, 6, 5. Grandma turned to me. Your decision, Jake. Criminal charges, civil lawsuit, or both. I looked at Marcus, at the brother I'd grown up with, played basketball with in the driveway, shared a room with until he left for college. The brother who'd stolen 4 years of my life. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Fireworks exploded outside, cheers from the TV, guests in the room standing frozen. Marcus sank back into his chair. Emily was crying. My mother grabbed my father's arm, and me, I felt nothing, just cold, clear. 12:02 a.m. The guests were leaving quickly, avoiding eye contact with anyone in the immediate family. A woman I didn't recognize grabbed her coat from the closet, whispered to her husband, "We should go." They were out the door in 30 seconds. Marcus stood by the fireplace, Emily beside him. His face was still pale but recovering, calculating. Get our coats, he said to Emily. Low voice. We're leaving. Emily moved toward the closet. Mr. Thompson? Attorney Peterson's voice stopped her mid-step. You're not going anywhere. Marcus turned. Excuse me? Peterson pulled a document from his briefcase. Blue legal backing. Official seal. Restraining order. Issued this morning by Los Angeles County Superior Court. You are barred from entering or approaching 2847 Pacific Coast Highway. Effective immediately. He handed it to Marcus. Marcus stared at it. Based on what? You can't just identity theft, fraud, forgery of legal documents. Peterson's tone was conversational, like he was reading a grocery list. Shall I continue? Marcus crumpled the paper in his fist. This is insane. My father stepped forward, voice rising. You promised this was legal, Marcus. You said Jake signed off on everything. Marcus whipped around. You told me Jake wouldn't care. You said he'd never find out. We said manage the property. My mother's voice was shrill now. Not forge documents, not commit fraud. They were shouting at each other, not at me. I stood against the wall, arms crossed, watching. Grandma moved closer, whispered near my ear. Never interrupt your enemies when they're destroying each other. I almost smiled. My father jabbed a finger at Marcus. You put this entire family at risk. I put us at risk. Marcus laughed, sharp, bitter. Who sent those emails to Jake's employers? Who told me to transfer the deed? You did, Dad? My mother covered her face with her hands. The last few guests slipped out the door. Peterson waited until the shouting subsided. Then he opened another folder. Jake, when was the last time you checked your credit report? I looked at him. I don't know, a year ago, maybe longer. Why not recently? I shrugged. I trusted my credit was fine. I pay my bills on time, not according to this. He handed me a printed report. TransUnion official letterhead. I scanned the page. Credit score 410. My hands went cold. That's not possible. I don't have any debt except student loans, and those are in good standing. Peterson flipped to the next page. Business loan. First National Bank, $87,000. Opened April 2022. Another page. Credit card Capital One. $42,000 limit maxed out June 2022. Another personal loan. Wells Fargo. $95,000. August 2022. More pages, more accounts. None of them mine. The total, at the bottom, $340,000. How? My voice cracked. I cleared my throat. How is this possible? Peterson looked at my parents. They wouldn't meet my eyes. All applications were filed with your social security number, your name, your forged signature, but the addresses listed are places you've never lived. He pulled out more documents, account statements. Here's where the money went. He laid them out in a row on the dining table. $180,000 transferred to George and Sandra Thompson's mortgage account. Without this, they would have lost their home in foreclosure. I looked at my parents. My father's jaw was clenched. My mother was crying silently. $95,000 to Marcus Thompson listed as business investments. No records of an actual business. Marcus stared at the floor. $65,000 to cover medical bills for Sandra Thompson. Procedures not covered by insurance. My voice was shaking now. I couldn't control it. You bankrupted me to save yourselves. My mother reached toward me. Jake, sweetheart. We were desperate. Don't. I stepped back. Don't call me that. Grandma moved to the center of the room. She looked smaller than usual, older, but her voice was steady. I have something to say. She reached into her purse, pulled out a folded document, blue backing, legal size. This is my will revised and executed last Thursday. My father's head snapped up. Mom, what are you? George, Sandra, Marcus. She looked at each of them. You are removed completely. All inheritance rights revoked. Silence. My estate. $3.8 million in liquid assets. Property in Oregon. Investments. All of it goes solely to Jake. My mother's sob was loud in the quiet room. Mom, please, we're your family. You were my family. Grandma's voice was cold. Final. You stopped being family when you committed felonies against your own son. She handed the will to Peterson. He placed it in his briefcase. My mother sank into a chair, shoulders shaking. My father just stood there, face gray. I checked my phone. 12:47 a.m. Marcus was moving subtle toward the front door. Coat closet 3 feet away, keys probably in his pocket. Mr. Peterson, the attorney, said quietly, Not to me, to someone else. Are they here? The front door opened. 2 uniformed officers stepped inside. LAPD, patches on their shoulders, hands near their belts. Marcus froze 1 foot toward the closet, one hand reaching. The taller officer looked at a notepad. Marcus Thompson. Marcus didn't respond for 3 seconds, then quietly, Yes, you're under arrest for identity theft and fraud. Emily screamed, This is insane! You can't just… The officer was already moving, pulling cuffs from his belt. Turn around, sir. Marcus looked at me, direct eye contact. You're really doing this. I held his gaze. You did this. I'm just finishing it. The officer turned Marcus around, pulled his arms behind his back. The sound of handcuffs clicking was loud. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Emily was crying now, loud, gasping sobs. Marcus was led toward the door. He twisted back, trying to look at me. Jake, please. The officer kept him moving. Out the door into the cold night. Peterson turned to the second officer, handed him another folder. George and Sandra Thompson, co-conspirators. Evidence of joint participation in identity theft, fraud, and forgery. My father's eyes went wide. Wait, we didn't. Your signatures are on multiple fraudulent documents. The defamation emails were sent from your IP address. You knowingly participated. The officer looked at my parents. George Thompson. Sandra Thompson, you're under arrest. My mother was sobbing. Jake, please stop this. Where your parents? The officer was pulling out a second set of cuffs. I looked at her. Really? Looked at her. You stopped being my parents, I said quietly. When you forged my name. They were handcuffed, read their rights, let out the same door Marcus had just exited. My mother looked back, once face stray with tears. I didn't look away. The door closed. Silence. 1:34 a.m. The house was empty except for me, Grandma, and Peterson. Grandma sat heavily on the couch like all the adrenaline had drained at once. Are you all right, Jake? I sat next to her, felt the weight of the last 2 hours. I don't know yet. She took my hand. Hers was warm, thin skin, knuckles prominent. You will be. We sat in silence, sirens fading in the distance. After a moment, I squeezed her hand. Thank you for coming back. I should have come back sooner. Peterson was at the dining table, tablet out, scrolling through something. Jake, there's something else. I looked up, exhausted. What now? Forensic accountant report just came through. They've been working overnight. He turned the tablet toward me. Bank statement, Cayman Islands bank logo, account holder, Mr. Thompson. Balance $430,000. What is this offshore account? Marcus transferred money incrementally over the last 3 years. Airbnb income that was never reported. I stared at the number. He was hiding it. More than that, Peterson scrolled down. He was preparing to disappear. Had applications for residency in 3 countries, Costa Rica, Panama, Portugal. My chest felt tight. He was going to run. Yes. Grandma leaned forward. Can we seize it? Already filed the motion, but there's something else. Peterson pulled up another document. This account was never declared to the IRS. That's a federal crime. Tax evasion. How much trouble is that? 5 additional years minimum plus penalties could be $800,000 or more in fines. I sat back, processed. He's buried completely. My phone buzzed. 2:15 a.m. text message. Unknown number, but I recognized it. Emily's cell. Jake, I didn't know. Marcus lied to me too. Can we talk, please? Grandma leaned over. Read it. She's trying to save herself. Should I respond? Peterson looked up. Only if it helps build the case, otherwise no contact. I put the phone face down on the coffee table. Didn't respond. 2:47 a.m. Peterson packed his briefcase. I'll file the additional charges in the morning. Federal prosecutor will want to meet with you next week. Okay. He left. The house felt enormous. Empty. Grandma stood slowly. I'm staying at the Sharon tonight. You should come with me. I'm too tired to drive, then sleep here. I looked around. My childhood home, my parents' house. My parents were in jail. I'll take the couch. Grandma kissed my forehead. Get some rest. Tomorrow we deal with the aftermath. She called an Uber, left. I lay on the couch, stared at the ceiling. 3:27 a.m. My phone rang. Caller ID, Los Angeles County Jail. I stared at it for 4 rings, then answered Jake. Marcus's voice rough, defeated. Jake, please listen. I didn't hang up. Didn't speak. I'll give you everything. The money, the house, all of it. Just drop the charges, please. I closed my eyes. You have nothing left to give me, Marcus. Jake, the house was already mine. The money was already mine. You can't give me what you stole. I'm your brother. Silence, please. I looked at the dark ceiling. Thought about 4 years. Ramen dinners, rejection letters, credit destroyed. You were my brother. Past tense. I hung up, put the phone on the coffee table, lay back down. He was right about one thing. He had been my brother. Past tense. January 2nd, bail hearing. I didn't attend. Peterson sent me the results via text. Marcus denied bail. Flight risk due to offshore accounts plus severity of charges. Remanded to county jail pending trial. Date set for March 17th. Another text followed. Parents released on $50,000 bail each. Had to borrow from relatives. Your grandmother refused to pay. I imagined my father calling his brother asking for money, explaining why. The humiliation must have been thorough. Good. January 5th, I drove to Malibu in a rented U-Haul truck. Everything I owned fit in the back. 2 suitcases, a box of books, laptop. That was it. The beach house address was programmed into my GPS. 2847 Pacific Coast Highway. I'd looked it up on Google Maps a dozen times over the last few days. Street View satellite. Tried to make it feel real. It didn't. Not until I pulled into the driveway. 2-story modern design floor-to-ceiling windows. The ocean visible beyond the deck. The lockbox code Peterson had given me worked on the first try. The door swung open. Silence. Empty. Marcus's stuff was already gone. Court order executed within 48 hours. Marshals had removed everything. Furniture that belonged to him, personal items, photos. What remained was what Grandma had purchased with the house. Designer couch glass, dining table, kitchen, fully stocked with appliances. I walked through the rooms, 4 bedrooms upstairs, master with ocean view, guest rooms with new mattresses still wrapped in plastic. This was supposed to be mine 4 years ago. I should have been here building a life, a career, maybe a family. Instead, I'd been eating ramen in a studio apartment, working 60-hour weeks, drowning in debt I didn't even know existed. I walked onto the back deck. The ocean stretched out gray under January clouds, waves rolling in steady rhythm. I stood there for 10 minutes, maybe longer. Didn't cry, didn't feel anger, just stood. Finally, I pulled out my phone, took a photo of the view, sent it to Grandma. I'm home. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then good. That's where you should have been all along. February brought news through channels I didn't control. Aunt Linda called. My father's sister. I hadn't spoken to her since Christmas 2023. Jake, I don't know if you've heard. Your parents are selling the house. I know. Silence on the line. The civil lawsuit, your attorney filed it? Yes, Jake. She paused, searching for words. They're devastated. Moving to Sacramento, a small apartment. Your father is looking for work, but with a criminal record. Aunt Linda, why are you calling? Your mother asked me to reach out. She wants to talk to you. No, Jake. She can talk to my attorney if she has something legal to discuss. Otherwise, no contact. She's your mother. She forged my signature, destroyed my credit, lied to police about my mental health. She stopped being my mother when she chose fraud. Long silence. I don't know if I can support this, Jake. I'm not asking you to. I hung up. 3 days later, Peterson sent me the settlement details. Parents' house appraised at $890,000. After mortgage payoff, $620,000 remaining, all of it awarded to me as partial restitution. They were moving to Sacramento, a 1-bedroom apartment, $1,400 a month rent. I didn't attend the house sale, didn't drive by for a last look. That chapter was closed. Emily filed for divorce in late February. Peterson mentioned it during a phone call about something else. Oh, and Marcus's wife filed last week. Irreconcilable differences. She's claiming she was deceived by him taking his remaining assets. What assets? Car, small savings account he had before the arrests. Maybe $8,000 total. She's leaving him with nothing. Appears so. I thought about that for a moment. She married him for money. Money's gone. She's gone. Peterson made a sound that might have been agreement. I felt nothing about it. March 14th. I met with the forensic accountant Peterson had hired. Downtown LA, glass office building, 20th floor. The accountant's name was Richard Chen. Mid-40s, meticulous. He walked me through the final report. Total value stolen from you over 4 years, $127,000. He broke it down. Beach house market value, $1.2 million. Airbnb profit, 39 months, $64,700. Fraudulent debt in your name, $340,000. Career opportunity cost, estimated $180,000. Credit damage and legal fees, $132,300. Criminal restitution ordered by the court, $2.1 million. That includes damages and punitive penalties. Will I ever see that money? Chen leaned back. Marcus will be paying for the rest of his life. Garnished wages once he's released. Seized assets, tax refunds, everything. If he ever gets out? Yes, if. I signed the paperwork. Left the office, took the elevator down 20 floors. Walked out into afternoon sun. April brought small victories. Peterson's paralegal filed credit disputes with all three bureaus. The fraudulent accounts were removed one by one. TransUnion first, then Equifax, finally Experian. My credit score climbed 410 in January, 580 in February, 630 in March, 695 in April. I could finally rent a car without a cosigner. Got approved for a credit card $5,000 limit. I put it in a drawer and didn't use it. In May, I bought a car. Used 2021 Toyota Camry. 32,000 miles. H&D $500. Nothing fancy, reliable. Paid in cash from the restitution settlement. Drove it off the lot. Felt like I'd won something. March 19th. Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Is this Jake Harrison? Yes, this is Dr. Patel. Your grandmother, Dorothy Hanson, was brought in by ambulance an hour ago. Minor cardiac episode. She's stable now, but I was in the car before she finished the sentence. Malibu to Cedars-Sinai. 43 minutes in traffic. I found her in a private room. Sitting up in bed, IV in her arm monitor beeping steadily. She looked small, fragile. Don't look at me like that, she said when she saw my face. Like what? Like I'm dying. I'm not, Dr. Patel explained. Stress-induced arrhythmia common in patients her age. Medication would manage it. Rest. Reduce stress. You're moving in with me, I said when the doctor left. I am not. Grandma, I have my independence, Jake. I'm not giving that up. We argued for 20 minutes. She won. Compromise. She'd visit every weekend. I'd call her every night. Any sign of trouble, she'd tell me immediately. Deal, she said. I stayed until visiting hours ended. June 15th. Marcus's sentencing hearing. I didn't attend. Read the results online that evening. Plead guilty to identity theft, fraud, forgery, and tax evasion. Deal with prosecutors to avoid trial. Sentenced 8 years federal prison. Restitution $2.1 million ordered. Eligible for parole after 5.5 years. Peterson called. It's done. He'll be transferred to FCI LAMP within the week. Okay. How do you feel? I thought about that. Nothing. I feel nothing. That's normal. I hung up, poured a glass of water, stood on the deck, watched the ocean until it got dark. August brought a letter. Handwriting I recognized immediately. My father's postmarked Sacramento. I held it for a full minute, thought about opening it, then I took a pen, wrote on the envelope, returned to send her, dropped it in the outgoing mail. 2 weeks later, a car pulled into my driveway. Saturday morning, 9:17 a.m. I was on the deck with coffee when I heard it. Walked around the side of the house. My mother stood by a silver Honda Civic. Rental plates. She looked older, thinner hair grayer than I remembered. We stared at each other. Jake, her voice cracked. Please, I just want to talk. You're trespassing. I'm your mother. You're a felon who forged my signature. Leave. Jake, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please just let me. You have 10 seconds to get back in that car. Then I'm calling the police. She started crying, shoulders shaking. Please, I've lost everything. Your father can't find work. We're barely surviving. I just want my son back. I pulled out my phone, opened the keypad. 1098. She got back in the car, drove away. I watched until she turned on to PCH. Then I went back inside, finished my coffee, felt nothing. September extended family reunion in Orange County. Annual Labor Day thing my father's side did every year. I wasn't invited. My cousin Jennifer called me the next day. It was weird without you. I'm sure half the family thinks you were too harsh, that they're still your parents and you should forgive them. And the other half think they're criminals who got what they deserved. I was quiet. For what it's worth. Jennifer said, I'm in the second group. Thanks. Are you okay? Like really okay? Yeah, I am. We talked for a few more minutes, then said goodbye. I didn't think about the reunion again. Their opinions didn't change the facts. Didn't change what happened. I knew the truth. That was enough. October evening. I stood on the deck, glass of red wine, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Grandma was arriving in an hour for the weekend. I'd made reservations at a restaurant she liked, seafood place in Santa Monica. I thought about the last 10 months. I'd won house money justice, but I'd lost parents. A brother, half my extended family. Holidays would be different now. Smaller, quieter. Some wounds don't heal, they just scar. Was it worth it? I looked out at the ocean waves rolling in. Endless rhythm. Yes, every single consequence. Peace isn't free, but slavery to liars costs more. New Year's Eve, 2026, exactly 1 year since everything changed. I stood on the deck of the beach house. Catered food spread across the outdoor table. String lights overhead. 6 people total. Grandma in the chair closest to the heater. 3 friends from college I'd reconnected with. Attorney Peterson and his wife. Small group. Chosen family. 11:50 p.m., 10 minutes to midnight. My friend David raised his champagne glass. Here's hoping for a boring year. No surprise guests, no drama. Everyone laughed. Peterson grinned. I don't know. Last year was memorable. That's one word for it, I said. Grandma caught my eye, smiled, raised her glass slightly. We toasted, drank, talked, normal, peaceful. At 11:58 we moved to the deck railing. Watched the ocean. Distant fireworks already starting up the coast. Any resolutions? Someone asked. I thought about it. Keep doing what I'm doing. That's it. That's enough. Countdown started on someone's phone. 10:98. I looked at the faces around me. Real friends. People who'd stayed. 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. Hugs, champagne, laughter. No police, no arrests, no family destroying itself, just peace. March 2026. I'd started a consulting business. Small operation, just me. Website, phone line, business cards. I helped fraud victims navigate the legal system. Document gathering, attorney referrals, credit repair strategies, word of mouth spread. Victim advocacy groups started referring people to me. Year 1. Revenue $82,000. Not millions, but solid, stable enough to live comfortably and save. I worked from the beach house office in the 2nd bedroom ocean view while I took calls. I'd started dating someone in November. Sarah, marketing director. We'd met at a coffee shop. Casual. No pressure. She knew my story. Didn't judge. We had dinner twice a week, texted most days. It was enough for now. My health was better too. I'd started running on the beach, sleeping through the night. No more stress, headaches. Life was quiet. I liked quiet. Marcus was serving year 1 of 8. FCI lamp, medium security. Peterson kept me updated. Not because I asked, because it was relevant to the restitution case. He's written you 6 letters, Peterson mentioned during a March call. I know. Prison sends me notifications. I reject them automatically. Divorced? Bankruptcy finalized? No visitors logged. I was quiet. Do you want to know more? No. Some bridges you burn, some burned themselves. Marcus's bridge was ash. My parents living in Sacramento. 1-bedroom apartment near the light rail. My father worked retail. Target stocking shelves, night shift. My mother did part-time nursing home health aide, minimum wage. I heard updates through Aunt Jennifer, the only relative still speaking to me. Your dad's health isn't great, she'd said in October. The stress, he looks 10 years older. Okay, that's it. Just okay. What do you want me to say, Jennifer? I don't know. Maybe that you care. I'd been quiet for a moment. I cared for 27 years. It didn't matter then. Why would it matter now? She'd sighed, hung up shortly after. They'd sent a Christmas card in December, my address written in my mother's handwriting. I held it for a minute, then threw it away unopened. Sometimes late at night I wondered if I'd regret this when they pass. If I'd stand at their funeral someday, feel guilt. Then I'd remember the forged signatures, the destroyed career, the $340,000 debt. The doubt would fade. New Year's Day, 1:30 a.m. Everyone had left except Grandma. She sat on the deck blanket over her lap, decaf tea in hand. I sat next to her, wine glass empty. We watched the ocean in silence for a while. Do you regret it? She asked finally, cutting them off. Yes, I thought about that. Sometimes I regret that it was necessary. Not that I did it, she nodded. That's wise. Waves crashed, steady rhythm. Regret the situation, she continued. Not your choice. Those are different things. Yeah, your parents chose fraud. You chose freedom. Don't confuse the two. I looked at her, her face and profile lined with age, sharp with intelligence. Thank you, I said, for coming back. For all of it, she patted my hand. You're my grandson. Real family protects each other. Not all family. No, not all. There were costs. I saw Marcus's kids sometimes on social media. Emily had remarried, posted photos of her daughter and son, my niece, my nephew, 7 and 5 years old. I'd never meet them. My parents were aging. I knew from Jennifer that my father's blood pressure was high. My mother had developed arthritis. Contact would never resume. That door was welded shut. Half my extended family thought I was cruel, cold, unforgiving. Holidays were smaller now, quieter. Thanksgiving was just me and Grandma. Christmas the same. Some wounds don't heal, they just scar. But there were gains too. Integrity. I could look in the mirror without shame. Peace. No more waiting for the other shoe to drop. Financial stability. Credit score 720. Savings account growing. Real friends. People who chose to stay when things got hard. Grandma's respect. Worth more than my parents' approval ever was. A home that was actually mine. No one could take it. No hidden fraud. And most importantly, freedom. Freedom from being a victim. From being used, from waiting for someone else to validate me. I was free. New Year's Eve. 2027. I stood alone on the deck. By choice this time. I turned down 3 invitations. Could have had a dozen people here. Chose solitude instead. 11:58 p.m. Fireworks starting over the watercolors reflecting off the waves. I thought about 2 years ago, the party, the accusations, the arrests, chaos, betrayal, family destroying itself in real time. Now silence. Ocean. My terms. 10:98. I raised an empty glass to the horizon. 7, 6, 5. No police, no attorneys, no family drama. 4, 3, 2, just me. The house, the peace I fought for. 1, Happy New Year. I said to myself, quiet is enough. People ask me sometimes if I won. I don't know. I got a house lost. A family, I got justice, lost innocence about who they really were. I got peace. Lost the fantasy that blood means loyalty. Some days it feels like victory. Some days it just feels quiet. But quiet is what I needed. After 29 years of being used, manipulated, and stolen from, quiet is everything. I didn't win a war. I stopped fighting one I never should have been in. That's enough.